Wow, that's a big question. But to me, it's to find and identify either a problem or a need and to develop a solution for it. That's entrepreneurship to me.
I think it's a lot of a matter of solving problems, seeing opportunities and needs, detecting them out there, and making good business out of it. You know, seeing things that other normal people don't see, and grasping those opportunities. Somewhat risk-taking, risk-willing. I wouldn't say entrepreneurs are that much more risk-willing. I think it's another kind of risk that they take. I also think it's a lot of self-independence in doing your thing. So I think it's a lot about solving problems and addressing needs that maybe others can't see or can't really figure out what to do with them.
Well, to me, entrepreneurship is really a very strong driving force to make a difference, to make something that potentially no one else have done before, or to solve a problem that no one else has solved. It's maybe somehow a lifestyle, because it makes it possible for you to have your own lifestyle, or to set the targets, set the goals, and really drive it yourself. But it's really a way to build something, to change something, to do something.
Entrepreneurship is being so passionate about a subject or a project that you pretty much spend all your awake time either pondering it or working on it and making it happen.
Entrepreneurship to me, it's when you see gaps in society or in the market, and you see like how you can fill that gap, and you take action on that. So you go from seeing opportunities or problems to take action and implement solutions and products, services.
Entrepreneurship is basically the process of designing and developing and running a business, a new business, which often is a very small business or a startup, if you like.
I love the word. The real meaning is opening doors. And for me, an entrepreneur is someone that sees new opportunities and perhaps can connect things in a new way that others haven't before. And that person is also brave enough to actually act on that, to try to make it happen and try to bring better solutions for society into the world. So it's really a necessary function in all societies.
Entrepreneurship is doing something that is coming out of a driving force of change. You want to create something that has an impact for someone else. And an entrepreneur wants to do this and grow something, and they want it to be more sustainable in their own organization or how long you do it. It's not like I want to do this for 3 months. I want to see these things grow. So entrepreneurship is about growth as well. Growing me, growing others, growing my team or my structure.
To me, it means taking risk in order to achieve something. That you're actually willing to risk some of the comfort that you have, some of the security that you have in order to achieve something that's not obvious. Willingness to take risk and then hopefully then reap the rewards. But actually also be accepting that sometimes you don't. Sometimes you fail.
Well, entrepreneurship to me, it's an interesting question and you always have to ponder it. But for me, it's really about making the world better by thinking differently. That's the essence of it for me. And putting that thought, that thinking into action and actually doing things. That's entrepreneurship to me.
Entrepreneurship, in my way of looking at it, it's business. It's doing business. And you could be born with it, but I think that you can also create, I think it's a mindset where you look for the opportunities instead of looking at the obstacles. So looking at the opportunities and making stuff, taking steps to using the opportunities, taking the opportunities, go for it, doing stuff. That's in my point of view. entrepreneurship, the drive?
Entrepreneurship to me is not to look at all the limits, but look at all the possibilities instead. Look on the resources we have and the solutions or the problems which we can solve. Not feeling limited because we only have this much resources, which is never enough. That's the key core of entrepreneurship to me.
Entrepreneurship, I would say for short, it's the ability to see and identify an opportunity when you stumble on it, and to have the imagination and courage to grasp it and turn it into a viable and growing business.
Entrepreneurship for me has a different context because I usually view entrepreneurship in the context of immigrants and refugees. So for me, entrepreneurship is a way of creating new possibilities in the interface of structural disadvantage and blocked mobility.
What they do, they break the rules, they find new ways, they explore, and not least, they network and learn from others.
Well, I think they make the society more productive. They make the world more productive. I think if we didn't have any entrepreneurs, we would still all be hunters and collectors. That's my view.
Entrepreneurs are the ones who basically develop these businesses. It's a person who brings something new, put it into a company, and wants to, in the end of the day, make profit of it in most cases. But also it's about bringing something to the market. You want to share it with other people. But the simplest description is that an entrepreneur is somebody that drive, develop, and run a new business.
Entrepreneurs identify problems in an area that they are really passionate and know a lot about, and they find solutions for them, and hopefully in the end they can also make money on creating those solutions.
I think that's a question in two dimensions. I think we really need, alongside with the researchers and scientists, we really need creative entrepreneurs to solve today's and tomorrow's challenges in the world, increasing gaps globally and on many levels, highly due to, we lack good materials, good circular business models when it comes to our consumption. So we need creative entrepreneurs to solve these environmental issues we have, growing populations. But we need them alongside with research and scientists, of course, to do this, and a good society that supports them. So everything is linked together. That's besides the obvious question that I think, or the obvious answers. We need the income. We need new products, new innovative products, and everything starts with the sales. So without that, we can't build the society that we need from the taxes that region gets.
Well, I think if everyone would work in a corporate, I think few things would happen. Because if you look, for example, into technical development, it used to be quite incremental. It's difficult for big companies to do that sort of things. And if you're going to have new technology, new solutions on the market, it takes commercialization. And I believe that commercialization with really new things come from entrepreneurship. Just look into the environmental space, for example. There's a lot of amazingly good research, and I believe that we have solutions to many of the problems that we see. But if we do not commercialize it, if we do not have entrepreneurs that strive to make it happen, it will not come out and not really be for the good for society. So I think it's really important. It's a driving force to change things and make things better.
Because they're the ones challenging status quo. They're the ones making the innovation move forward, making long-term life easier, better, improving the world we are living in.
I think they're very important because this, through history, like this society is always developing and changing. and through that there is a lot of new needs coming up all the time. And the bigger companies and bigger public organizations, etc., even NGOs, they are not that good at adapting to the new needs because they are too too stuck in their traditions and routine, and it's very difficult to change their direction. But entrepreneurs, they are much quicker. They can see a problem and take action and build something new from that.
Because we need people who drives change, and we need to create new things, and these things need to be stable or growing, and that also comes with the ideas. How will they come to life? So entrepreneurship is basically taking something and make it happen.
From entrepreneurial thinking and from entrepreneurs that actually take those steps and build up new functions for the society, it changes the world. It creates a better world through entrepreneurship. Not only by new functions and products and services, but by creating jobs for many people. And we wouldn't have any large companies today if we didn't have entrepreneurs in the beginning.
They are absolutely essential in creating new jobs and new businesses, new industries for the region and for Sweden and for Europe. For the last decades, it's very obvious from statistics that on average net job creation is happening in companies younger than 5 years. In more established companies and mature industries, the focus is on improving margins and market shares, and especially for public companies. And then employee costs are a critical factor to minimize, and thus the job growth is decreasing in established industry. That's clear statistics. So that's why entrepreneurs are so extremely important for the society.
Entrepreneurs are important in this context because they create opportunity for themselves and for others, especially in terms of employment when when the other possibilities are closed. When you move to a new context, a new country, as a refugee or as an immigrant, it's not easy to get into the labor market because your credentials are not easily transferred into the new system, and you don't know the language, you don't know the norms and the culture. So it would probably take you a long time to establish yourself in the labor context. So these are the kind of disadvantages that you have as an immigrant, as a refugee. So in the face of these problems, entrepreneurship can be a way for you to establish yourself or to reconstruct your career.
I think comes back to your first question, what is an entrepreneur? In order to advance society in all these different ways, you need people who spearhead. You need people to go in front of other people. You need people to take risk, to show what's possible and find those ways. And those people are entrepreneurs. And you can be an entrepreneur in business. You can be an entrepreneur in politics. I would argue that Obama was a fantastic entrepreneur in politics, or Gandhi, or other people who actually changed the way we look at things.
In every society, you need to make money to create new opportunities for everyone. And entrepreneurs are finding new ways of doing this and developing the whole system. The society and the government can manage existing businesses and make it work for the system. But finding new ways and develop the system, you need new thinkers, thinking outside of the box, trying new ways of develop the whole society. And that's the entrepreneurial way, I think. So thinking in new ways, making changes, and seeing opportunities.
That is very individual. Motivation for some is just sharing things with others. They have an idea an invention that I want to bring to the people. That's the great one. Others are for the profit, making money, building something and making money out of it.
I think the key motivator is to create something, to solve a problem and to create something. Many times you have the impression that people become entrepreneurs to make money. I don't think that's the first reason. I think they want to create something. If they are successful, they will make money as well.
Sometimes people think that successful entrepreneurs are motivated by money or getting rich. In my experience, with all the people I worked with throughout the years who are successful, I would say that none of them were primarily motivated by money. They were motivated by changing things. They were motivated by their frustration of things not working in an optimal way, and they wanted to have an impact. That's what drives them. That's why they're willing to take the kind of risk they're taking. If it was only the money, there are much easier ways to make money for people than actually starting companies. That's a pretty hard way to make money.
I think you have an idea or a project that you need to see come to life, and you want to see it grow, and perhaps grow with it. You want to see it happen. Then you become an entrepreneur. You are not waiting for someone else to do it. You take yourself in charge of see to that these things happens. That is entrepreneurship. Not waiting, but doing.
Well, I think the best motivation is actually if you encounter a challenge or a problem in your own life and you want to address that, you want to fix that. I think that is the best motivation for an entrepreneur. And there are other motivations, like you want to make the world a better place in general or things like that. But I think the strongest driving force is actually if you want to fix something that you see this is wrong or this is inefficient. I want to do something about it.
It must be some kind of curiosity that you want to know if something can be made better or in another way, or if you can do it better than already existing companies or solutions. I think the curiosity is one drive, and then of course a naive belief that you actually can affect how things are working, that you actually can do something completely different. So you need to not perhaps be the most intellectual person in the world, but you need to be one of the bravest.
The motivation, the drive for becoming an entrepreneur, I would say, is very, very personal. And there might be as many drives as there are entrepreneurs. One drive we've seen, though, quite often is a personal drive. You've experienced a problem or you see a need which there is no solution for it, so you simply start to develop that on your own. Money is always, or for some, also a drive. Another common drive is that you want to be your own boss in a perspective.
I think it's different things. I think mainly it's the problem solving. I've met, I don't know how many thousand entrepreneurs throughout my 10 years at Almi. And I think I can count on the one hand's fingers the ones who have had money as a driving force or wealth or, all the others have, problem solving, detecting specific needs, and they want to do that. They want to solve the problems that they've seen out there. And then, of course, you have the, self-independence is a huge driving factor, I think. Be your own boss, no one who tells you what to do. I think those are the two main driving forces, at least that I've seen in my work.
Well, I believe for some people it's more or less freedom. You don't want to be employed, you don't want to have anyone telling you what you're going to do. But for quite many people, I think it's what we just talked about, to change, to do something different. For example, if you come from an industry, you see that, well, I know the industry, I know I could do this better, or there are some difficulties or there are some pains in this industry that I could actually solve. Or if you more come from a tech perspective, you see opportunities with tech that we like to strive. And then, of course, for some people, it's just a way of life. If you're like self-employed and if you have your one-man show, maybe it's just a way of living as an alternative to an employment. So there are quite many different ways and different reasons, I assume, why you are an entrepreneur. But to me, an entrepreneur is really someone that is building something new.
I guess it's the boredom of everyday life, and you want to do something more of it instead of just, for example, being employed 9 to 5 at a job that you feel you're not generating enough output.
I think most entrepreneurs are motivated from some kind of frustration, actually, that they see things are not as good as they could be. And they just feel like they have to take action and solve that. When you talk about social entrepreneurship, you often say that traditional entrepreneurs just want to make money, but I don't believe that's true. I think most of the entrepreneurs are actually driven by making things better. But I think the term social entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurs are important to take that focus on like market needs to actual like societal social needs.
I think the most common myth is that the successful entrepreneurs, you think they come up with the idea like this and they just implement it. And when you really look at the success stories around the world, successful entrepreneurs, they have failed many, many times, but they stood up again and tried again and did pivots and tried different things, and they never gave up. But they learned from their mistakes. And I think that's a myth, because when you see a success and look at it, the story about how that success was created does not always include all the failures on the way. So people outside, I think that this was something else came as from heaven, like as a one great idea, and then it was just implemented from a very smart guy. That's not how it's happening.
I think we have one big myth about entrepreneurship, and that is the one genius. You know, the one person who created the idea, the Apple, the IKEA, the everything. Okay, they are like the beam light of this, but they could never have done it without teams or people or partners, and they are often invisible because it doesn't serve the myth or the purpose of reaching your goal. But there are no single person things that really works out. If you're only you well, I don't think you will. You won't make it.
I'm pretty old. So when I was young, there were this myth on the market that an entrepreneur is one that only wants to take your money for themselves. And it was kind of ugly to start a company or to be heading or founding a company. That has changed. I think today entrepreneur is part of a glorified future that you actually can. I think many people are dreaming of becoming entrepreneurs today, as opposed to like 20 or 30 years ago. But not all of them take the step, because it's completely. You have to give away your security. You have to give away perhaps a lot of your money, and you have to give away, you have to focus on your business in many, many years before it becomes successful. And you have to really, it's a struggle every day in the beginning, and not all people have the guts and the strength to do that. So the myth would be today that it's easy, because being a startup is cool, and or if you're a hipster, you're immediately you're an entrepreneurial type of person. But there are no free lunches, and there's not an easy path.
Yeah, a very common myth is, of course, that it's all about the money, and that the money is the motivation and also the end result. But I think that's a definite path to taking the wrong decisions and ultimately fail.
Are there any myths to entrepreneurship? I think there are. One myth is that people do it in order to get rich. I don't think that's true. People do it in order to have an impact, in order to change things. There's another myth that entrepreneurs work 24/7. That doesn't necessarily have to be true. You don't have to work 24/7 as an entrepreneur. What you have to do is to be fully committed. And then you can box your time. I mean, most people who work too long hours are not effective. In general, I think entrepreneurs probably work more than your typical 40-hour week. But you can actually have a life on the side.
One myth is that you have to work around the clock, 24 hours a day. I don't think that is necessarily true, that you have to do that. I think there are different levels of entrepreneurship. I think you can live a normal life and still be an entrepreneur. So that's one myth that I would like to bust, that you have to give up your whole life to be an entrepreneur. I worked in startups, I worked in large corporations, and I think that even if you're in a startup, if you try to do something with a small team, you can still lead a normal life outside work.
We have this assumption that some entrepreneurial, some ethnic groups have predisposition towards business, or they have this cultural X factor or cultural virtues that promote entrepreneurship. But I think this kind of conceptualization is very dangerous because it seems to be very conclusive. And as far as I am concerned, I have already mentioned that there are no any empirical evidences that support this. Rather, the evidence that we have at hand shows that people are more structurally pushed towards creating a business.
I would say that there are many, but one is maybe, since there's so much talk about entrepreneurship these days, that it's a very special person that can do everything by him or herself, and they are almost a kind of inventor. But I would say that no one can do everything on his or her own, so involve other people. And I also say that some people think that your solution is so good that it will sell itself. That's most often not the case. You will need hard work and to work with the sales as well in order to be successful.
No, I don't know Ulsan exact, but it's really important that sometimes maybe you understand or believe that it's easy to be an entrepreneur. It's not. Successful entrepreneurs have put a lot of work into what they are doing, and there are really few companies that, for example, have this very exponential growth, a hockey stick, and there are very few companies that are sold to Google or Facebook or Apple within 5 years. So build a company really based on value.
Yeah, there are a few ones. The first one is, I guess, you only see the successful entrepreneurs in the news, in the papers. So they are ones making all the front pages. From what I know, the statistics for entrepreneurship is that you fail about 10 ideas and startups before you become successful. It's the same for everyone in Silicon Valley, Sweden, London, whatever. So the only solution to that is to have multiple ideas and trying them out and failing fast. The other big myth, statistically, if you look at both US, UK and Europe, Sweden, is that entrepreneurs are the ones quitting their daily jobs and starting their own company. Lots of successful entrepreneurs has been with their own employments or studies and doing it as a side project, working late evenings and nights and actually moving on once the new startup of the project actually lifts off. And that's a good thing because then you don't need to have any investors in the early stage and can take them in later on under better valuation.
I guess a common myth is that it's not real entrepreneurship, and it's that it's just people try to that they are not really real entrepreneurs, and they don't think that it should be economically sustainable. I think one myth or one discussion is, can you make profit or not? I think, of course, you should make profit so that you can invest it in your company and scale. And in some cases, you can even get profit and give it out to shareholders. So yeah, I even think you can give out the profit to shareholders if you see that their investment is so important for you to solve the societal problem. I think in some cases people argue that no, you should not give out any profit if you start a social business. But I would argue that it depends on what's the best way to actually solve the problem. If getting investors and giving them profit is the best way, why not? So yeah, that is a big debate in the industry.
One thing we've learned is also that you should, I think it's a good idea to be as open as possible with your company, with your ideas. Just as I said, to go out and check your solution with customers and the market. You could also take help from others in your company to be as open as possible, because many people want to help, like Tillväxt Malmö, and you could use all those sources and all this help in order to grow your company in a successful one.
I think it's important to start with the real needs, not to develop a product that you don't really know if there's a need for it or not. And in order to do that, I think you need to involve your customers very early to see that you do things specifically solving the needs for the customers, and that they are real, not nice to have, but really need to have things. So customer involvement. I also think you need to look at yourself and be self-aware. Do your SWOT on yourself and see what are my strengths and my weaknesses, and team up with people who can supplement you, complement you, and try to find really smarter people around you than yourself, or at least don't be afraid to do that. I do that all the time at work, and it works. I think those might be the two main things, and when it comes to advice. I have a list of maybe 20, 30 advice, but if I boil it down, those are the two crucial ones.
Well, believe in your idea, listen to people, but don't listen too much, because you will have a lot of advices, this and that, but believe in your own way, but try still to be open-minded and learn to talk to customers very, very early, because whatever we talk about financing, the most important source for finance is, of course, to sell and to prove that you have customers that are prepared to pay. So don't be afraid of the customers. Talk to them and make them your friends and understand them.
Make sure you work with something that you love and you think it's fun, because you will need to spend infinite amount of hours on that and enjoy the ride, which means please don't go into an area which you're not 100% fond of, because there of course will be somebody else there which is so crazy about the subject of the area that will outrun you. Go for stuff that you love.
If I have any advice, I think most important is connect with other people. Don't sit at your room and try to solve the problems. Connect very early. Don't be scared to share your thoughts and ideas, because that's a good way to attract more resources and more people. So that's important. Try to balance between long-term and short-term. Make sure that you quite early get some finance to get started, but also make sure that you start to think about how you can sell a service or product in a long-term perspective, so that you start quite early with that. Don't get some start funding and then wait 3 years with the sales and that part, but think about it and start working on it quite early. And then, take care of yourself as well. I see a lot of social entrepreneurs working too hard, and they create big impact and success, and then they burn out, and then nothing happens after that. So you have to think about it like in a long-term perspective, both for your own part of it and for the solution.
Well, my best advice would be actually to listen to your heart and try to be concrete and try to be honest to yourself when you define that, and then go for it. If you're not okay with the idea that has come up, or if it's not your dream, then try to make it your dream. Try to modify it to make it your dream.
Go for it. Act. Just do it and learn from it. And do it again. If you fail the first time, you do it again. Failing the second time, do it again. And you will learn a lot, and make sure to have fun during the way as well.
Yes, do it. It's not so hard. Everyone can do it. And it just, the worst thing that can happen is that they say no. And then you're right back where you started. So there's nothing to lose. Just try it out. But make sure that you are addressing a need. If there isn't a need, create one. So, sell first, then we can deal with the rest. Because if that works, no problem.
Before you go too far with your idea, talk to the people you think are gonna buy it by the end of the day, and listen to them. Talk with them a lot earlier than you think you should.
I think make sure that you understand your market. That's critical, and in as many aspects as possible. And make sure that you understand your customer. Get under the skin with your customers. Interview them, live with them, and collect statistics. Perform surveys, and talk to their customers. And make sure that you understand the real pain and need of your potential customer. I think that's critical. And then don't try to set up your endeavor on your own, because you are most probably missing several of the critical competencies and skills that is required.
Grow your team, grow your relations. Be inviting, take care of your idea and those who are around you who will support you, and try to be fair. You can't force other ones to help you. You need to invite them. So the sharing things is very important.
Yeah, find people, surround you with people that can help you. Mentors, senior people, people with experience, people that will coach you, and not only people that will say what you want them to say. Surround you with people that can challenge you, because you will need these people. And also build a good team. You can have a mediocre idea, but if you have a great team, you can succeed. But if you have a superb idea and a mediocre team, you won't probably not succeed. So the people around you, and then think large, be bold, and create a plan and stick to it.
You need to find your inner salesperson. Everybody can sell something. They can convince their parents about a great idea. They can convince their friends about a great idea. But if you say that they should sell their idea, they get like paralyzed. So you have to like find that person inside you that can convince others to believe in your idea. And I think that if you can do that, then you can probably get the right people on board, convince them to also believe in your idea and take a chance with you. I think that's the start, that's the spark. And then don't be afraid by setbacks. We all successful entrepreneurs have made lots and lots of small mistakes or big mistakes, And I wouldn't call it failure, I would call it shortfalls to success. And if you think it that way, you learn from every step, and you know this is just a step on my way. I'm not there yet. This is not a dead end. A real entrepreneur never sees a dead end. It's not necessary for you to put yourself into a box. I'm that kind of entrepreneur, or I'm that kind of entrepreneur. It's about finding solutions for society. And if you see a big need in society, there's a big need for your solution. So don't be paralyzed by that. Just keep going. Find your energy, find your inner salesperson, and just get going. It's fun too.